This is Miriam on Tapestry with Miriam, Fusing with my TV and channel. We are here. This is Sunday special. It's really great, and I'm here with the amazing TsiTsi. She's going to tell us about herself first, but it's amazing that we're here, and it's amazing that this is Toronto, and I'm very happy to be here.
Grateful to have
And
you.
yeah, welcome to our show. Can you tell us about yourself and anything that you want to share? Yeah.
Absolutely. So I am originally from Zimbabwe, moved to Canada almost 15, 16 years ago. I'm a mother of three amazing children, very supportive. And, I have I run a small business within the Kitchener-Waterloo area. It's a cleaning and meal service business. I've been doing that for the past 8 years, I want to say. As a single mother, I needed to find something that sort of combined the parenthood aspect of things and also, make money without compromising the quality time that I spend with my children. And so that's what I've been doing for the past couple of years. Well, not couple, but 8 years.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm just celebrated a milestone birthday in November. I turned 50.
Oh wow.
So
That's nice. Congratulations.
thank you so much. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
yeah.
So I am enjoying life. I
Yeah.
am just an energy being that is just grateful to be here
Yes.
and grateful to experience this thing called life with
Yeah.
all it brings.
Yeah, so apart from being a woman that is so versatile, education, your talent, in writing a book that is, she's the author of My Reflections, as you can see. Apart from being that, what are some of the challenges that you have faced in your life up to this level?
First of all, I think being a Black-owned business, it brings its own challenges. It's very hard to be competitive in a world that you are a minority.
Yeah.
So you have to find avenues to sort of overcome that and avoid the setbacks. Well, not necessarily avoid the setbacks, but I think sort of deal with them and go through the motions and not give up. Because it's so easy to realize that, you're not always the first pick, but you have to make choices that put you in that forefront. You have to find a way to be a warrior and a fighter. And it's not just that either. I think even in my personal life, having been married and having had a difficult relationship and then coming to the conclusion that the best way for myself, first of all, and my children is to, separate and go my own way. It was one of the things that I think I feared most, that newness of being a mother to three children and also hoping that they don't fall into that category of, the kids that have been neglected, and you sort of get put into that statistics of, them and versus us. So I have to say that had been, I think, my biggest challenge and overcoming that.
Yeah.
But I feel and believe that the person that I am,
Yes.
I'm a fighter. I'm a
Yes.
fighter, and that's something that was instilled from me from a very young age. So yes.
Oh, for sure, you're a fighter. Because this book, again, you wrote My Reflections. It's about self-love, loving yourself. And I hear from your tone, from everything that you talk about, is really realizing who you are
Yes.
in all of these things that are happening, whether it's personal challenge or a professional challenge. And I like the way you say, you have to know that you're not the first choice.
Yes.
Very important there, because that's another level of having that mindset to forge forward as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
And all that. What was your thought process when you wrote the book?
Well, I have to sort of give you a backstory. I am I have four brothers on my father's side of the family. I have three brothers. I'm sorry, there's four of us. I have three brothers. I'm the only girl. So I'd always tried to find things that represented what I felt, what I did. And my father taught me the love of literature. And because of that, I always used to jot down. A lot of people have diaries, they have notebooks, they have this. I could never keep a notebook. I would have 6 million different books that anytime I had a thought, I would just write. So with this book, what I had gone through is I had started a relationship after my marriage broke up. And in that relationship, it came to a sudden stop that I did not understand. It ended in a very heartbreaking way. So I think having those emotions of not knowing what to do with myself, how to deal with it, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, another failed relationship, what am I going to do? So what I just started doing is I started a sort of a reflective mindset, just to not necessarily go around what I was going through, but literally go through it, sit with the good, the bad, the ugly, right? And what I started doing is I started jotting down every single day something, and with that came all these thoughts, and realized I'm not the only one that experiences this. I'm not the only one that has these thoughts. And I just put them together. Initially, there were, a few engagements people would, like, but for me, it wasn't necessarily for me to get people to like them. It was just a way for myself to process what I was going through. And whatever I felt at that moment is what I was jotting down. And afterwards, I thought, this could be something.
Yeah.
This could be something I could share with, that other person that needs it.
Yes.
So, and I describe it as reflections that I think there's one thing for everybody,
Yeah.
but everything for that one person
For
that
that
needs
one
it.
person,
Yes.
for that one person.
Yes.
That is so great. Can you explain to us what that means for someone to be embraced by, you know, a grandfather? Because those are the wisdom keepers that we have in
Yes,
our
right?
community,
That is
and
so
all
true.
that. And it's very important to have such good relationship. Because when I was reading and I was thinking, wow, this is so great, because I did not have that chance to have my grandfather around. We were born when our grandparents were no more. We had, like aunties or uncles of my parents
Yes.
that were, standing up as, our grandfather. But we never had, like, that chance. And I feel like I've missed that, and I want to hear from you as well, because the way you talk about my maternal grandfather was so instrumental in allowing me to embrace myself authentically. He always reminded me and everyone else around me that I too was allowed to experience every feeling, thought, emotion, and navigate it in my own way. Very powerful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, what I can remember, because I spent a lot of time with my grandparents as my parents had gone their separate ways. So, I think if you look at it, with our culture, the African culture, a lot of times when there are adults in the room, we are not allowed to speak. We're not allowed to, sort of be in that area. I remember a very key moment that I remember was I had walked in, I'd come from outside, and I ran in and I, Sakura, 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 his grandfather in Shona. And one of the ladies that was in there said, oh, keep quiet, go. And my grandfather said, no, she's not going to keep quiet. She's got something to say. She's going to say it, and I'm going to listen to her say it. And he, of course, he was speaking in Shona. And he said to me, what is it, my little one? What did you want to say? And it was not anything huge. I can't remember what specifically it was. But his reaction and response to that, I thought, he hears me, he sees me, he gets me.
That's nice.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then he then reminded me and said, like sometimes you get into trouble with your family or whoever it is. And sometimes you want to express that emotion, whether it's crying or whether it's screaming.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they'll say, stop crying. Don't do this. My grandfather always said, no, this is what she's feeling right now. Let her cry. When she's done crying, she's going to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
If I was excited and happy, he let me express that. Oh, she's happy. Let her do this. And hearing that all the time was sort of that affirmation that it's okay to be who I want to be, right? And you don't get that, especially from a grandfather, because at that time, I think when you look at the way we were raised, it wasn't really a thing, right? You had to be this. The expectations of you, especially with the African culture, you had to be a certain way. He let me have my freedom.
Yeah,
He
and,
let me
and you
have my
see, the
freedom.
grandfather would probably be the one to carry that culture
Right.
of heaviness. Oh, don't speak, don't. But for your grandfather, it was different. It was somebody who actually gave you the wings. Beyond.
Thank you for seeing that. Yes.
It gave you the
He
wings.
really did.
That's amazing.
I think he made everybody else around us understand that. Even when you look at the relationship he had with my mother, it's not the typical relationship that you would have expected of the times.
The in-laws.
Yes,
Yeah.
right? So it was absolutely amazing. So I think from that time on, I have always been expressive. I've always been, of course, I speak my mind, and you do have to find a way to be diplomatic, to be kind. But I've always expressed myself, and I've always been okay with that because he made it okay with that. He made me understand from a very young age that it's so okay. So I appreciated that.
Oh wow! I when I was reading also, and we'll get into it. I know you've talked a little bit about some of the reasons why you wrote the book, because when I was reading and I was going through most of these little chapters, pages, I guess, and it looks like, it, despite coming from love, from so much love around you, you still had to go through pain and disappointment. And so you had this failed relationship and compels you to write. What other things that compelled you to write, the book?
You know what it is? I think when we are experiencing life as we know it, a lot of times people have expectations of you. And you know that they have these expectations. You have your own expectations. So it's almost so difficult to find that balance, especially if I think you're in a moment of confusion, whether it's through the adversities that you're facing through your life. So it was such a challenge to really get to understand myself a little bit more and reconcile and know that it's okay to be me whenever I need to be me. And I had to be very okay with being in my own company, being in my own presence. And I think also knowing that it's okay to have people having expectations of you, but it doesn't define you. It doesn't define you. So I think in liking myself more, it made it so much easier for me to cultivate all the other relationships around me. And so I think the more time I spend by myself and with myself, and when I say with myself, I'm talking just, whether it's in my head or just sitting in silence, it's got me to a place where I was very okay. And I had to understand that I have to go through all of that because everything that everybody expects of you might not necessarily be the thing that you bring out, but that's okay. As long as you are true to yourself at the end of the day, all of those experiences make you who you are at the end of the day.
Wow.
They make you who you are at the end of the
They
day.
make you who you are. I want to go into, and when you say they make you who you are, I found something very interesting that you said here on 107. Man, this was amazing. As always, I love to share my learning experiences, whether it is through conversation or reading or just self-referral. I love to share. Well, I was reminded today that as an individual, I am a constant. When I was reading it, I was like, what? Things around me change the day, the weather, the years, experiences, in all that sometimes we may feel like we are changing, but I am a constant. When I read that, I was like, what? This is amazing because as women, sometimes we don't even realize, and I'm not being biased for men out there, but
No, we're not.
I'm just saying that women sometimes go through a lot more than, because there's children to look after, there's relationship that a woman, you cannot just, especially for us who come from a cultural background, you can't just walk up to a man, oh, I like you, that kind of thing, so you can't. What was it that made you to write, you are reminded to be a constant? Explain that.
Okay. I'll give you two different, this.
Because it's profound. It's very
Thank you
profound.
very
Yes,
much.
it's very profound.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I look at myself in different ways. There's a role I play as a mother.
Yeah.
There's a role I play as a friend. There's a role I play as a daughter, right? in all of that, or it's almost likening to going to or being an actress,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
can go in and I'm given a role to play today. Tomorrow I'm given a different role to play. Those are all roles that I'm playing. But in all of that, the essence and the spirit of who I am never changes. I can go and be all of that, but at the same time, I am still TsiTsi. My spirit is still within me. My spirit is still the same. Nothing moves it, nothing changes it. Because I think of course, we grow. We grow. But when you look back at the essence of your being always remains a constant. And I think I always thought, if I'm here, I'm going to be like this. If I'm there, I'm going to be like this. But then when I really looked and observed at it, more on a spiritual level, I realized I'm really the same person everywhere I am, no matter what role I'm playing. I can go and be a mother to my children. I'm still TsiTsi within. I can go and be with my father or my mother. I'm still TsiTsi within me, right? I can come to you and be your friend. At the end of the day, I am still TsiTsi. So I am constant. Nothing about me ever changes.
But then, when you say that, there are people who have not realized their self love, their who you are, and whatnot. What are some of the recommendations that you can? Because sometimes it's when you realize
Yes.
your being,
Yes.
who you are, that's when you can confidently say, I am a constant, because you are aware of who you are
That's the key word. That
to
awareness.
every category that you move around to,
Yes.
right? But some people, they do not have that, you know,
That growth in them,
yes,
right?
yes, it's the mindset that changes.
It's the mindset that changes. It's so interesting because I've been because I lived in so many different countries. There were so many different cultures we learned. The one thing that I think my father always reminded us was that just because this person has this and they do this with their culture
Yeah.
doesn't mean that's where you go and you pluck yourself into, right? You have to always be true to yourself. You have to be true to your background. You have to be true to whatever it is that you believe in. I cannot come here and I can't come here and change your mind. Even when we talk of God or of spirit, I can never come to you and preach to you because we all have different avenues of reaching the source, right? My beliefs are not going to necessarily be your beliefs. And I can't convince you to follow my beliefs. I can have mine and still have room to respect yours, right? But in all of that, it's realizing also that within the mindset of myself, of recognizing that I am who I am, I also have to know that I'm living in a collective.
Yes.
I'm living in a collective. I have to find ways of cohabitating with other people. I have to find ways of, extending that respect to the next person. But all of that comes from realizing the self love that you have. We look for love in so many different avenues,
Yeah.
but it's all there.
Yeah.
It's all within us. And once we grasp it and we understand it and we embrace it, you become it.
Yeah.
If you want love, you have to become love.
Ooh.
If you want to be happy, you have to become happiness.
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
That's
You have
amazing.
to.
Right there.
If you don't live it,
Yeah.
you cannot be it.
Yeah.
You cannot be it. I cannot
Powerful.
honestly sit here and preach about love if I am not love myself.
Ooh.
Right?
Yes.
So I think that's the basis of where my understanding of my self-love and my self-referral comes from. It's understanding that I myself am love. I am everything I need. And then all I just do is just go and extend that
give it out.
to give it out.
Wow. You just making me want to cry right now because oh my goodness. I also went to 104, which is
Okay.
one of the pages that you have here. It's a reminder alert. And you are like, reminder alert.
It had to be in
Okay.
capitals.
It had to be. It's unfortunate that someone can say something to you and change your mind about the way you feel about yourself and everything you are hoping for. It's sad that just as you cling to your beautiful truth, you fall victim to just one piece of unkindness. I'm not going to finish all that, but that has unkindness that has you thinking your reality is not reality and that you seem almost delusional because they are probably miserable and ain't capable of stretching their finite mind. This alone tells me tells me that somewhere somehow, you know, you had to encounter
Yes.
you know, unkindness
Yes.
that made you feel like
Less
y-
than.
less than
Yes.
you and
Yes.
all that.
Yes. Truth be told, I had been in this relationship, the relationship that led me to really self reflect.
Yeah.
And it was one of his relatives that came to me and said, "Oh, the relationship was not anything, it was just a fling." So for me, it took away the love I felt I had created with this other human.
Wow.
It took away the connection that we had had, whether it was because my children are protected by me at every cost
Yeah.
from anything that I feel is not for them or
Yeah.
that will not serve their purpose.
Yeah.
But I allowed this person into my space,
Oh my.
into my children's lives,
Yeah.
because I saw something that was to me a reality. And
Yeah.
I feel for him was a reality too.
Yeah.
But then after all of that, we go our separate ways and you think, okay, it didn't go well. I'll let him be. I will be myself as well. Somebody comes to you and tells you, well, it wasn't anything. It was not anything that was going to go anywhere. And I thought to myself, and they were standing on my front doorstep as they said this to me. And the first thing that came to my mind is, you're actually in my energy field. And you're coming to disrupt that because maybe there's something that's going on with you that what makes you want to feel like you're superior.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you feel it's so okay to then come and make me feel small or make everything that I have believed of myself
Yes.
seem small simply because maybe you're having,
is-
isn't that sad?
That is sad.
It is sad. So my response to them
Yeah.
literally was, what makes you think you're better? And believe it or not, they said to me, well, you're black.
Okay. Okay. So
Yes. So it was deep. And then I kind of looked at myself and said, really? Like I'm not human? Is that what you're seeing? Because what I know and what I see of you is that you're a human being.
yeah.
You're a beautiful soul.
Yeah.
But somewhere deep within you, there's something that you have to reconcile and figure out for yourself because there's no need for you to come and stretch that unkindness to me because I know for a fact I'm not deserving. Not because I'm a greater human being than you are. No, because I'm just a beautiful soul within myself.
So this person you dated was of different race.
Yes.
And we are not going to mention that. We
won't,
don't want
yes.
to go there. But yeah, it was a different race, and they
Yes.
believed that. And maybe, you know, sometimes people do that to just want to feel. How does it feel to go out with another from a different race? Probably. That was what it
Right?
was. But they are playing on your emotions.
So much
And yeah.
and
that
to
is
take
very
away
sad.
that to take away
is
that
very sad.
because there's so many beautiful moments that we're created. I'm not saying we all get along every single time. We
Yeah.
don't. Even my children, I've brought them up knowing that you don't have to get along, you don't have to agree on every single thing.
Yeah.
But the one thing you have to be with each other is you have to be
Yeah.
kind.
Yeah.
You have to be kind to one another because you don't realize what you do to somebody's soul
Yeah.
when you extend that unkindness, right? It can change. It can change a person, right? And it takes away that constant that you are, that you're inside.
So now let's just talk about it
dive?
because sometimes it just really saddens me when there's a racial discrimination.
Yes.
Because I mean there are other discriminations out there,
sure.
but I think racial discrimination is really deep because,
big.
like you say, you are a constant. You are not going to change who you are.
You cannot.
Because of this person. If this person approached you and wanted you to be with you, they have to accept. Then they accept it. You know
is that, right?
that what probably this person also, if the relative is the one who came and went,
Yes.
these were the influences of him, you know, withdrawing and all that and stuff,
Absolutely.
and not really being educated enough
Educated
to
enough,
to know that we are all one person.
and strong enough in their own character.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have said, go and fight your family to be
No.
with me. That is not what I expected.
Yeah.
But see me for who I am because I gave you my truth.
Wow.
And if you can't accept my truth, what other truth are you going to accept of anybody else?
Wow.
So it was hard. It was, so that was one of those moments. So these were things that were happening. So all of this was done almost in real time. You know, I would see a butterfly and I would reflect and write a little something about the earth or the world.
Yeah.
I would have an interaction and
Yeah.
something would just ring inside. So that was one of the days I really sat down and I thought, wow, what could it be inside them that made it okay for them to come and say that to me?
And to come to you.
To come to me.
In your space.
In my space and
Wow.
say that and extend that. And I thought, I have to send back love. Because if I want to be loved, I have to give love.
Yeah.
If I want to receive love, I have to give love.
What was your response?
My response first and foremost was, I'm going to tell you that in not so many words, you are calling me things that I am not.
Yeah.
You know, there were explicit words that I
You had to put it there.
I had to put it there. You know, sometimes I stretch over to the other side a little bit. And I said, and to be quite frank and to be quite honest with you,
Yeah.
you were not part of that relationship.
Yeah.
So for you to come and say the things you're saying,
Yeah.
maybe there's something about yourself that you need to reflect and look at.
Yes.
Because it's not a me problem. I realized this in this moment that it's not a me problem. It's probably a you problem. And then I also said, this is my children's home.
Yeah.
This is my children's home. There's no way their mother is going to be insulted and given names that don't belong to her. So I rebuke your statement. But thank you for paying a visit. Be blessed and be on your way. Be on your way. And I'm not saying that was the end of the interactions or the, you know, I don't want to say attacks because, you know, I don't know if the attack would be the word, but I want to say maybe 6 months after, I received a message from this individual who said, I've had time to sit with myself. I've had time to reflect. I've had time to go to prayer. And I just wanted to say, I'm sorry.
Wow.
And I said, thank you. Not because I expected the apology or it has made a difference in my life, but it's made a difference in yours.
In your life.
Yes.
Yes.
It's made a difference in your life. And, you know,
Definitely.
as I always say, remain blessed. And
Yes.
I walked away from that.
Yes. That's why we are that. Blessing and blessings. On 25, because I was just, this book it had a lot of motivational pieces.
I'm happy to hear that.
That you have, created that motivate people if they read the book. It's very, very encouraging.
Thank you.
Because some of the things that I was reading, they motivate me
I'm happy to
because
hear
of the things that I have gone through myself, personally and obviously career-wise and all that. So on 25, you said, today is the day I want to shout out loud and say, lift me, Lord, from where I stand. Let me soar high because I know you made me reach the unreachable heights. Take me from where I have landed without you and catapult me to where you know I belong. Change everything about me that you know is not for me and make me the child you molded to be. This is a confirmation of you having faith in God.
Yes.
This is the confirmation for somebody who's reading to know that despite everything that has gone through in your life and what you have gone through, you have held firmly to the truth of God.
Yes.
What do you say to people who have a different view about God?
Well, this is where life is beautiful. We all have roads of reaching destinations, right? We all have different avenues of going to different places. But at the end of the day, what is your anchor? For me, my anchor is God. For me, my anchor is God. or the source, if other people might say. Some people might call him Allah. Some people,
Yes.
whoever or
Yeah.
whomever they decide they
Yeah,
want
yeah,
to call
yeah.
him. So I believe that my beliefs are my beliefs. They are strong in the way I am because that is the way I have lived my life. So anybody who doesn't have that belief in who I call God, that is okay. You just have to believe in something.
Yeah.
Because for us to be in existence, we were created from something.
Yeah.
And having that creation and having that knowledge, life is so beautiful. I think when you look at, of all the little things, you look at a plant, it's life. You look at water, it's life. Water is constantly moving, right? For me, my spirit is constantly moving in me because I talk to God. I speak to him. He speaks to me. I receive what he says. Sometimes I don't hear him because I'm busy trying to solve all those problems on my own, thinking I can do it on my own. But I've realized on my own that for me, especially, when I go back to God, who is also my constant, because he's within me,
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
why I say I'm a constant.
Yeah.
He's within me.
Yeah.
When I go back to that source, my life as I know it, I believe changes or gets better or redirects in the blueprint that is my life. And for those people that don't believe, I will challenge them and ask them what do they believe in? Who do they go to? Because when I walk around, even when somebody stumbles, the first thing they say, or stumbles and falls, the first thing they say is, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, I know.
Who are they calling out to? You know what I
know.
mean? I will never judge you for your beliefs.
Yeah.
I will never judge you. I will respect your beliefs just as I would want you to respect my beliefs.
Yeah.
But you just have to believe in something because we come from a greater being that we have, with our finite minds, we have no big understanding.
Yeah.
We're just this,
Yes.
Yeah.
But
But there's something that's bigger than life, bigger than all of this.
Yeah.
And just find something that anchors you. I think that's the best way. I'll never preach. I can't preach. I hope I'm not preaching.
You are such a preacher.
No.
You're such a preacher. Okay. Woo. Woo. Okay.
I hope I'm not preaching.
Everything today is just like, woo, okay. I don't want to cry because
No, you mustn't cry. We've got too much makeup to cry.
That's great. That's grace right there.
It is.
Now, this book, to someone who reads, I wouldn't say I'm an avid reader of any, but I read books.
Right.
But if you're reading and reading, there's a lot of vulnerability
Yes.
if you read between the lines.
Yes.
And there's a lot of vulnerability and stuff. Did you do it deliberate that your vulnerability should come out?
Do you know what? I was living in the present moment and I was being as authentic as I could be.
Yes.
What
From
I
the grandfather.
Yes, from Seguru.
Sekuru, yes.
I was being as authentic as I could be.
Yeah.
So I found that I was experiencing a lot of heartbreak. I was experiencing a lot of pain, but I didn't want the book to be about heartbreak, right? I could have written a story about, oh, then this happened to me, and then that happened to me, this. What I wanted was to express the emotions I was feeling at that time. And I find that a lot of people have come back to me and they've said, you are vulnerable. How were you even expressing that?
Yeah.
And I said, I was working in real time.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to be me except to be me.
Yeah.
So I just put out whatever I was truthfully feeling at that point in time and expressed it as best as I could. And sometimes I found that, I always look, and I think this is another thing that we do as humans. You sort of start comparing yourself to other people. Yeah. And I thought, no, I'm not going to do that because I do not want to be a fraud. I really just want to be who I am in that moment. And if that vulnerable side came out, I'm happy people saw it because that is exactly how I was feeling. There are days where I was and then I remember I have to go and write something. Yeah. I have to go and write something. Because I had to go through the pain I was. I had to experience it all.
As an African woman, you are.
Yeah, it's right. Just say head on. What? I have to go to the well to get water? When? Okay, I'm going to get. I'm going to get it.
Yes.
That's literally what I was. I was
Yeah.
just walking through life.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
But if you saw that, I am so grateful
Ooh.
because I'm glad you could see.
You know what? I saw it, and I mean, saw it. I read it, and I'm kind of, and I was like, would I be this? Because I can't write a book. If I were to write a book, maybe it would be very thick, very very thick, from what I've gone through, very very thick. Uh, but of course, I'm not that brave to write a book. I talk. I'll talk about it probably.
Which is your avenue, right?
Yes, because I talk about things and whatever. But I know you and I, before this, we were talking about how sometimes, communities, we don't help each other. We don't.
Yes.
I wanted to throw that in as a leader, author, a businesswoman yourself.
Right.
What gaps do you see that are high, in our communities, to be able to kind of, how do we bridge the gap in those, I don't know how to put it, how, because we sometimes get, especially in the black community,
Right.
we say that we don't help each other, we don't do that and whatnot.
Very
And
true.
what are those things that you see that can bridge the gaps that we actually have observed?
Do you know what I really and truly believe personally? That inequality stems from fear. That's what I believe. I believe inequality stems from fear. It's, oh my God, or that the mindset of it's not enough, right? If this person gets, then I'm not going to get. It's that mindset of I don't have. There's not enough to go around, right? So when there's that mindset of there's not enough to go around, you then want to always be higher than the next person, right? You don't want to bring up the next person, and that builds such inequality because everybody wants to have power, right? But they don't look at it as this world being abundant for all of us. It's not just about having the power with money or having the power with big houses and all of that. It all starts with that fear that's within us, and when we have that fear, we then create that separation of they are there and we are here, right? If we all just come together and realize that we can work hand in hand because we are not different in any way. If I fall down right now and my knee scrapes on the ground, I am going to bleed. The same goes for you. So, what's different if you get empowered by me to go out there and be the best that you can be? That love that you have for yourself, if you spread it, you all grow. And I think that's the problem with our communities. We don't realize that we can all coexist and we can all have as much as the next person, right? But we find ways of stopping each other. We find ways of thinking, well, I want to be better than the next person. That's inequality. You cannot be. We are all, when we strip everything that we have, I'll give you a little example. I don't know if it's going to kind of make sense. But I always tell people, like I said, I have a cleaning business. So when I go into their homes, they ask me, oh, we'd like you to do this. And I tell them exactly what it is I do. Then there are other little things that you find they're sort of trying to stretch and make you do that are not things that you ordinarily do. So what I've given people as an example is, so this is your house. If you take everything outside of your house, all the belongings you have, everything that's in here, what's left is what I take care of. What's left is what I take care of, right? And so they have that understanding that it's just the structural part of it that they take care of. It's almost the same thing with life. Today, if God calls me, everything that I have here is going to remain. Everything that I have here. But the structure that is my soul is what continues to exist and goes beyond.
You're such a preacher. I'm just like, what are you doing now? You want me to cry or what? What are you doing?
That's what it is. I wish people could understand that.
Yes. Like what you say about inequality within our communities,
Yes.
especially the black community.
Yes.
I'll say that because I'm coming from there.
Yes.
When we are fighting for inequality out there, but we do have it within ourselves.
Within ourselves.
It's a sad thing.
It is. Because then it stunts our growth. It stunts our growth. You know, if we worked together, we would, oh my gosh, we'd be existing on a different level. We would be existing on a different level. So the other thing I have made it a point to do, and even my children will be testament to this, all my friends, they will tell you that I'm one person that says, if somebody comes to me and says, oh, and then this person did this to me, did this, my first question all the time is, well, what have you said to them? Have you spoken to them? Okay. And if they come back and they say, no, I haven't, then I tell them, then I can't help you. I can. If you're asking me, it's almost even like with friends, when they're having whatever issues they have with their husbands, you know, it's so automatic that as a friend, if you come to me and say, TsiTsi, my husband did this, what is my response? My first response is, he's a horrible person. He said this, he said this. But deep down inside, I know how much you care for your person. It doesn't build if I'm going to help you bring down your situation. The best thing is for me to show up for you and say, how can I be of support? How can I help you? How can I make you and your husband bridge that gap? That is what I have committed myself to being. That is how I've committed to living. So if you speak to any one of my friends, especially in 2020 when COVID happened, something happened within me because I stopped and reflected deep down inside, what kind of person do I want to be? I went to a school, an all-girls school, that our school song was, it was a song that we sang to God. You ask God, you know, this is the morning of my life. And in the morning of my life, I want to love, right? To be brave, to be strong and true. And then you come to the afternoon of your life. My question still, my blessing still remains is I want to be, you know, to be brave and strong and true. And then in the nighttime of my life, I will have a question for God. And that question is, was I brave? Was I strong? Was I true? Right? So that is something that I reflected on in 2020 when COVID happened, when we had nothing to do but to stay in the house and Netflix.
Yes.
That is what I thought. I thought, oh my goodness, what is it that I want to do with my life? And I thought, I want to be brave. I want to be strong. I want to be true. But that true is within me. And I have to find it within myself in order for me to be able to give it to that next person. Authenticity. That's what I strive for.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where I am with my life so far. Yes. I might not be perfect all the time, I'll admit.
Of course, we are not perfect all the time. But, you know, what you've just said here, it's actually brings me back to your page 8, where it says, what holds us together when things fall apart?
Yes. What holds us together when things fall apart?
And you went in to say, in a way, depending on the situation, there are several factors for me. So many things you've explained here. There is a mother, she feeds my soul. Yes. Then you have your children. They are a reminder that there is a maker. And, you know, family itself, family is priceless. Just explain to us, you know, this page itself. Like, you know, I know you're a preacher, you're going to preach to me. So
unintentionally,
and I think this is great because for those that do not embrace, sometimes people have dynamic issues within their families and stuff. But when I read about yours and how everything, you know, makes sense, you know, why that person exists in your life makes sense, and you've made it out, you made aware of yourself that these are important to me. And you wrote to yourself that then there is my mother, she feeds my soul with such positivity that sometimes I am convinced we live with unicorns. and I'm like, okay. So I think that, does your family know how you feel about them?
I certainly hope they do. I express it every moment that I can. But I have to tell you that I come from a place of gratitude because I count myself so fortunate to have the people that I have in my life. My mother, like I said, when you talk to her, she's got such a, I want to say, a youthful spirit about her. My mother is so playful. She's so fun. She's silly. She's everything that you would not think an African mother is going to be, right?
Yeah.
My mother was, she got arthritis at the age of 35. And I think by the time she was in her 40s, she was having mobility issues.
Yeah.
And by the time she was 50, she could not walk. And she's been in a wheelchair since then.
Yeah.
But if I tell you, if you call that woman up today and say, "Hi, Mom, how are you?" She's like, "I'm very busy right now. I am cooking. So-and-so came. So-and-so came." And I'm thinking, how?
Yeah.
And why? She is the happiest human being that I have been blessed to grace her presence with. And when I have, whether it's an issue with work, my children, anything, I've gone to her and said, "Mom," and then. My mother has always said, "No, stop. Just stop. First of all, talk to the man.
Yes.
Talk to God. Talk to God, because you and me will never be able to solve this without him."
Yeah.
That's what she says. And secondly, she always finds a compliment for that other person that I feel has, has made me
I need to
upset.
see her.
You-
Maybe I can find something.
it's so shocking, because you would think, especially having not being able to walk from the time that she was 50, she's going to be 75 at the in November. You would think she runs on 5 legs,
Wow.
because her spirit is so strong, and the kindness that she exudes, it's almost to a fault.
Wow.
It really is almost to a fault. And then you have my father, who's, in Harare. And I was fortunate enough that my father married a woman that I can go to. I always say I count myself blessed because I have 2 mothers,
Oh, yeah.
right? When I was younger and I would have arguments with my stepmother, I would go to my mom and say, "Oh my God, can you imagine? I broke a glass and she said this." And my mother would say, "And so? That's your mother. What's the problem?"
Yeah.
And I thought, "Oh my
What's
God."
wrong with this woman?
That's what I thought initially.
Yeah.
And then I said, "Oh, it's because of the way I'm looking at her.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at her as a mother.
Yes.
I'm looking at her as a stepmother or as my father's wife," which is so wrong.
Yeah.
So it's that mindset,
Yeah.
And then I go to my father, and my father, when my marriage fell apart, I went to my father, "Dad, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do?" And my father said, "Whatever your decision is, just know I'm here to support you.
Wow.
Whatever you need, I am here to support, because you are loved.
Wow.
You are loved." So depending on the situation,
Yeah.
I will run to mom.
Yeah.
I will run to dad. I will run to other mom.
Wow.
Right?
That is so great. In my next episode, we are talking about stepmothers and stepchildren.
Yes.
That is amazing because, and you are to go to person because I feel like you have understood the need for, everybody to cohabit.
That's it.
Right? And that's very important. I know we are running out of time. It's been, it's been just so great. This book, everybody, it's written by TsiTsi Bimha,
Bimha.
and that's my reflections. 111.
111. Angel
111.
numbers.
There's
Yes.
going to be 112.
It's actually going to be 224.
224.
224.
Oh wow, that's
224.
Great. Yeah,
So I am I'm working on it.
Is this book on Amazon?
Yes, it is available on Amazon.
Okay.
It is available on Amazon, and I also have I have made it available on Kindle.
Yeah.
So if you've got an Amazon Kindle, you're more than welcome to browse.
Yeah, everybody, this book is amazing.
Thank you so much.
It's motivational pieces that you can wake up in the morning and just, it's life. It's everything about this book is just life that we all go through. I know you have talked about 224. That's your next project, I guess. What other things are you working on?
Do you know, I am trying to reflect on that, brave and strong and true. I am trying to work on a podcast because people have said,
That's great.
"TsiTsi, you speak a lot, you talk a lot." I waffle sometimes in my talking. But people have said, "We'd love to hear you speak, and we'd love to have you do a podcast." And I think initially I wasn't brave enough to do it because I thought, "Oh, who am I? It's just a little old me." But then I thought, no, I'm not a little old me. I'm strong in here, right? So I am working on a podcast.
That's very good.
Just to have conversations with, my everyday people.
Yes.
Just to touch on the realities of the world and just the realities of you and me.
Yeah.
That's I've been trying to dabble with the title, so I'm hoping that it comes to me. I've been sitting in silence for a bit just to find that title, but I've already figured out my episodes,
Yes.
and now it's just bringing it to fruition. Yes.
That's great. That's really great. Again, this is Tapestry with Miriam, with Fusing Wemai and your thread, your tapestry, and our awesome, awesome, awesome lady here that I could not put the book down.
Thank you.
When I was just going through it. I actually went through it 2 times.
Really?
Yes, because
I'm happy to hear that.
yeah, because I had to sound intelligent and
You are intelligent.
I had to sound intelligent to read it and all that. Otherwise, I was going to be like, what? Because you feel that you've actually gone through it, and you've walked the walk, and you're talking to somebody who's like you.
Absolutely.
And that's how I felt, and
So
I was
that's what
I
the
was like,
reflections are all
yes,
about,
yes,
because you are a reflection of me
yes,
as I am
yes,
for you.
yes,
So
yeah. Just like tapestry, you know, when we say tapestry,
yes,
it's all together the
woven.
fabric that makes us
Yes,
together. That's how
that's
our
it.
show is all
That's
about.
oh my goodness,
Yeah.
that's it.
So
That's it. Thank you for getting it. Thank you so much for getting it,
yeah,
because
yeah.
that makes a world of difference. It strengthens the constant in me.
No, thank you for coming. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to
Thank
talk to
you.
you. Yeah.